Hello and welcome to Things We Dig. As always, I'm Chris Fig.
What's up, y'all? It's Alex.
Welcome back. So today we're going to talk about the new installment from M. Night Shyamalan, Knock at the Cabin. So yeah, Knock at the Cabin. When a little girl and her two fathers rent a cabin in the woods, they are taken hostage by four individuals who have a proposition for them, which is not a proposition they really want, and things in the world start taking a turn for the worse. So, just want to hear what you think, man. M. Night Shyamalan. I'm usually pretty excited when a movie comes out. A lot of his movies are hit or miss. Sometimes they're hit and miss, but I would say in more recent years, a lot of his movies just kind of haven't been sticking the landing. So, just want to hear from you, man. The Knock at the Cabin. What were your overall thoughts for the movie?
Oh man, I mean, I agree with you in what you were saying, and kind of going in, I was a little hesitant because I believe his last movie, Old, was one of those kind of hit and miss. And I was really stoked to watch it. I think it was original going in, only seeing a couple trailers that really only introduced the intro. These people show up, say, "Hey, we have to prevent the apocalypse." Doesn't really set up anything other than that. So I loved going in basically unaware of anything that was going on. There was no room for a trailer to kind of hint at what might happen. And to me, that kept me on the edge of my seat until you start to figure things out. But all in all, as far as M. Night Shyamalan movies go, I was really impressed, and I wasn't really expecting much. So the bar was kind of set low for me, but I would put it up there as probably one of his best movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say, I'd say the same for me. And listeners, viewers, we might get into light spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, maybe come back, check out the movie and check out this review. But just light spoilers, we're not gonna give away anything too deep. But I do feel the same. Yeah, Old, I did not like. Honestly, I'm not one to walk out on movies, and I almost walked out on Old. There's just something very unnatural about the way individuals are acting in that movie, and it just, yeah, didn't feel right. But with Knock at the Cabin, I feel like M. Night Shyamalan does really well with like an intimate setting. Being in one place, which they're 95% of the movie, they're at this cabin, and I thought he did really well. A lot of the actors that he selected for the movie, I thought did really such a great
Mhm.
job. Dave Bautista being one of them, he just knocked it out of the park for me. I mean, we'll dive a little bit more into that, but yeah, just I feel like overall, I enjoyed the movie. I would say with M. Night Shyamalan, he pigeoned hold himself, maybe not on purpose, but of having a big reveal, what a twist. And sometimes that might not be the biggest payout, and maybe he's not going for that, but I feel like audiences are somewhat always expecting that kind of big reveal. But I would say the movie opened up, as we mentioned, with the little girl and her two fathers having a great vacation. Life is going good for them, and you see Dave Bautista, just big hulking man, coming out of the woods, and things aren't going to go well. And though he's being very nice and sweet, he's still coming off somewhat as a predator, and
Mhm.
someone that's going to cause trouble for this little girl and her two fathers. But that opening scene was pretty intense, and just the way M Night shot some of those scenes, like the very close up, it's like a just like super close, and just getting like the edges are somewhat blurred out, giving you kind of a sense of like dizziness, and I feel like he did really good job. And then just a whole kind of reveal of why these four individuals are here. So what do you think about the first opening of the movie when you first initially see Dave Bautista playing Leonard and the three other individuals who are taking the family hostage?
Yeah, I mean, I was drawn into it right away. The young actress Kristen Sui or Sue, I'm going to say that horribly wrong, but Cui, who played Wen, starting out the movie right off the bat. I mean, M. Night Shyamalan's great at having young actors and actresses in his movies. Some are hits, some are miss, but this girl was pretty spot on, and she did a great job. And I think it just really just set the mood. And like you said, Dave Bautista showing up, really creepy yet uncomfortable but wholesome at the same time. He gave off all those vibes like, okay, this guy has all ulterior motives, but he seems good. So he kind of hit all those personality marks. And then when all the others showed up and he kept looking and looking in the distance and really kind of set my brain ticking, going, okay, what is he looking at? Is he running from something? Is he looking for somebody? And then his crew shows up and he's like, all right, I'm your friend. These people are my associates, blah, blah, blah. Made you go, okay, what's gonna happen here? I mean, and like some movies, I like that it just jumps straight into it. There's not a lot of buildup. It's just let's get into the movie. Under 2 hours long, no bullshit, just jumps right in, and you're sucked right into it. I was hooked for sure.
Yeah, and what I thought, M. Night and the actors did really well too was keeping the tension. That there was so much tension from, like I said, the first maybe 30 seconds to a minute, you see Wen outside catching grasshoppers, like, "Oh, this is nice." And then, like you said, just jumping right into it and that tension of him talking to her, them in the house, and just the entire movie. And I think that's what M. Night does really well is just grasping you, captivating you with this tension and letting you know, like, there is some shit around the corner that's looming that's going to really knock you out. So, yeah, I would say the overall plot and theme, like I said, we're not going to get too much into spoilers, but the two parents, the two fathers, which were played by Jonathan Groff, who played Eric, and Ben Aldridge, who played Andrew. Um, Leonard De Bautista gives him again, like I mentioned, a choice that they have to make to prevent the apocalypse. And in my head, I was like, of course, that any parent or just human being, giving this type of proposition, they're of course they're gonna like these people are lunatics. And I think that's another thing they did really well in the movie. These four individuals are trying to convince them like we're not bad people. It's just we had these visions. It led us all here, and just that constant back and forth of the banter of why this is wrong that these four individuals are asking this of us, and then on the flip side, like them begging them, like, please, like we have no choice. Even when, they initially break in and there's a fight breaks loose, and Sabrina, one of the four individuals, is a nurse. She's like, oh, I can heal him. I can help you. Like, don't move. So you're like, oh, okay. Like these people aren't so bad. Like they seem like they're really caring. So I thought that was handled really well too. But yeah, I mean, I would say that Dave Bautista was essentially the leader of this four individuals, this group. Of course, you look at him, he's a school teacher, but he's this big, giant, brooding individual with tattoos.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is probably honestly my favorite role Dave Bautista has ever played. I know he's, obviously he's Drax in the Guardians movie. He's a great comedy, but this one, I would say he's the lead essentially, and
Mhm.
just intensity and how he's almost sort of he seems like an introverted kind of soft-spoken individual for how big he is, but just the intensity he has. And, he has this big bald head and it's like constantly sweating. And he's like, please, like, listen to me. So, yeah, Dave Bautista was a major standout in this film. What'd you think of his performance? Did you feel like he really like hit a home run with this one?
Yeah, I mean, you knocked it out of the park with that. He just gave off that vibe where he was wholesome, but this just swollen giant where you really were like, all right, bro. And I loved that all his tattoos were showing, and didn't look and fact check this, but I'm almost certain those are his tattoos, like natural tattoos. And you see a lot of close-ups of his hands and just see random, like I saw a Wu-Tang tattoo on his knuckle and maybe even a Star Wars one. And I was overthinking it, like, is that a deeper meaning? And I think that was just him, like that's his tattoos. But a lot of stories have been coming out recently about Dave Bautista and how just he's really kind of setting himself up as maybe one of the best actors that came from the wrestling world. I mean, you got The Rock, of course, and John Cena, who's actually doing really good as well. But Dave Bautista really seems to show his chops. And I think right off the bat, I mean, these close-up shots, like you said, of M. Night Shyamalan did. I mean, there's no room for fakeness. It was literally too close. Like you're just uncomfortably close to his face. And I noticed a lot, there were a lot of tears in this movie. Like, and it made me think, are these CGI? If they ever CGI tears, probably, but where you'd see their eye and you could see the pool of liquid form at the bottom of their eye, like they're about to cry, but they're holding it in. And I noticed that a lot with Bautista and some other characters. And it didn't look fake to me. So you really did feel the tension and just the conflict that they had. And, you know, he played that part like, I have to do this and I'm sorry, you know, and it made you go, okay. It made you confused. Like, are they really forced to do this? And are they psycho? Are they psychotic, like people were saying? And that's what made me even more intrigued with the movie, is that you just didn't know. You were just as confused as the people being held hostage almost till the end of the movie.
Yeah. You know, I agree. It's like you, again, as I mentioned, you would feel the same way as Eric and Andrew did. You'd be like, you guys are crazy. You guys are in a cult, you know? And later on in the movie, you kind of get a sense of why they're doing this. And but yeah, I would say Andrew, again, played by Ben Aldridge, he was like the dad who was more so taking the lead. You know, Eric had an injury, so he was a little bit kind of out and, you know, a little bit loopy, and Andrew sort of making the decisions. And I felt like he did just as well, you know, working off
Mm-hmm.
of Dave Bautista and a father trying to protect his husband and his daughter, and just this whole situation. I thought he did really good too as well, and I was really captivated about like all the emotion and tension that went on with these scenes. So definitely some good standout roles. The acting I thought was done really well. Also too, the way it was shot too. We mentioned a little bit earlier with like the close up, the angles, but there's a lot of like light leaks, you know, that just created this bizarreness within the movie. Like that's what M Night movies
Mm-hmm.
are about, is this, you know, unnatural kind of like bizarre like thing happening in the world. And I thought the cabin was such a beautiful setting, and the woods, and you know, it was such a beautiful interior that you almost didn't care that they were just in one place for the, like I said, the 95% of the movie. So I just thought
Mm-hmm.
the some of the scenes and the filming of it was really well done, and just created this beautiful like visual to go with this bizarre thing happening. So the movie progresses. A lot's going on in the world. Chaos is ensuing. And then we get to an end. And you know, I would say we're not going to reveal anything in this review, but you know, I guess we'll talk about an M Night movie having that big twist reveal ending. And maybe again, maybe he wasn't trying to have that, because this is, you know, an adaptation around that novel we mentioned earlier. Did you feel satisfied with the end and kind of the outcome of the film?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And it's really hard because, like you said, it's really, you just expect an M. Night movie to have what a twist, you know, just like The Sixth Sense. I mean, that's when anybody brings up what an M. Night Shyamalan movie is, The Sixth Sense just hits it out of the ballpark.
Mhm.
So I've kind of tried to step back my expectations and be like, okay, there will be a twist, but it also might not be just as exact as you might think it is. And hopefully M. Night Shyamalan thought, I don't want to be that guy. Like, I want to show you that I can do great movies that's gonna have a twist, but not like just slap you in the face. And to me, this movie hit the mark. It did kind of exactly what I thought it was. It was a twist that you were just curious. You're confused throughout the movie, wondering, just like the hostages, is this true? What's going on? Are they psycho? Because it's such an insane idea that they came forward and said this. But once they keep turning on the TV and showing you things that go on, the first couple times you're like, all right, maybe coincidence.
Mm.
You know, when he brought up that this wasn't live, this was like pre-programmed, it
Right.
made you go, what? Maybe this isn't happening in real time. But as it got towards the end, when Dave Bautista started verbally saying word for word what the news anchor was saying. Major spoiler right there, but that's when you knew like, okay, this is pretty serious. So it was kind of like not a slap in the face twist, but more of a slow realization of a twist, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, and I, brought this up to other individuals who had seen the movie. I was like, if this movie was the same exact movie, but not directed and, written by M. Night Shyamalan, would you still feel the same way? Because a lot of people were like, oh, I was maybe a little disappointed because I was expecting something major at the end. So that's why
Mm-hmm.
in my head, I'm like, okay, this was filmed, this was directed by Christopher Nolan, totally different style, but it's like the ending
Yeah.
happened. You'd be like, oh, okay, that was a really solid movie, great acting, great, visuals, great plot and theme story. A lot of M. Night movies can sometimes have this outrageous plot that maybe doesn't quite stick the landing, but I feel like this one did. And at the ending, I felt pretty satisfied. I was thinking to myself, like, okay, yeah, there wasn't, this big, huge, grandiose reveal, but I feel like it ended how it should. And, like I said, in the end, there were some things that were a little bit more connecting pieces that sort of made it feel better to me. And yeah, I would say overall, in the M. Night Shyamalan, category of movies he's done, is it Signs? Is it Sixth Sense? Is it Unbreakable? No, but it's definitely a step up of, previous movies. And, he kind of has a a track record of maybe, he's lost his touch or there, he just isn't quite the same as, those movies I mentioned, his top 3 movies. But I feel like it's a good installment of a category in his category of movies that I would go back to watch this movie. I mean, the performances alone, I thought were worthwhile to watching it. So definitely a good step forward for his career, and kind of curious of what he's going to do next.
Yeah, I agree. I hope maybe he goes down the line. Maybe Sixth Sense, Signs, all those other ones were book adaptations. I wasn't aware of it. When I watched Old, I realized it said based off the graphic novel. I'd like to see him do more books, more obscure books or titles. Wants to do more twists like this. Keep going in this direction. I like what he's doing. Just keep making original stuff. That's what I think I love him and other directors more than anything, is that I think they're doing stuff that they like. I almost feel like he's doing something that he enjoys. He likes that story and he's going to switch it up, not something that he thinks is going to be a Hollywood hit with, all the flash and lights that you expect. An original story. I mean, I want to go back and read this book now and
Yeah, same.
just revisit it just because it's original. I mean, just I want some fresh ideas, man. Like even A24 productions and stuff. I mean, you could have thrown this. This could have been an A24 production, but he's ahead of there. He's in his whole another realm. But I really I like original ideas that I wouldn't even comprehend. And
Yeah, man, totally agree. So yeah, I mean, good to hear your thoughts on it. But yeah, if you haven't seen Knock at the Cabin, definitely go check it out. And if you like this review, hit that subscribe button. Till next time, later days.
see you later, friends.